A 29-year-old woman sued her own mother's new husband for selling a car that wasn't even his to sell. What Judge Judy figured out by the end of the hearing had almost nothing to do with the car at all. What happened in that courtroom went on to become one of the most talked about family disputes in Judge Judy history because the real conflict wasn't revealed by evidence, it was revealed by the plaintiff's own mother. If you believe some lawsuits are never really about the thing they claim to be about, hit that subscribe button. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Nicole Ferrante was suing her stepfather, 48-year-old Walter Grady, for $4,800, the estimated value of a 1967 Mustang that had belonged to her late father, sold 8 months after Walter married Nicole's mother, Denise. "Miss Ferrante, tell me what happened," Judge Judy said. Nicole's voice was clipped, controlled. "Your Honor, that car belonged to my father. He restored it himself over 15 years. When he died, it was supposed to go to me eventually. That's what he always said. 8 months after my mother remarried, the car was gone, sold, without anyone even asking me." "Mr. Grady, your response." Walter shifted uncomfortably. "Your Honor, the car was in Denise's name, not Nicole's. It was part of the estate that passed to her when her first husband died. Denise made the decision to sell it. I helped her find a buyer and handled the paperwork, but it was never my car to sell, and it was never my decision alone." "That's convenient. Suddenly, it's all my mother's decision once there's a lawsuit." Judge Judy's eyebrow lifted slightly. "Miss Ferrante, do you have documentation showing the car was legally designated to go to you specifically?" Nicole hesitated. Not in writing, but my father told me many times that car would be mine one day." "Verbal promises from someone who's passed away are difficult to enforce in this courtroom, Miss Ferrante, as I'm sure you're aware. Was the car titled in your name at any point?" "No, it was in my mother's name after he died." "So, legally, your mother owned an asset outright, and she chose to sell it." Nicole's jaw tightened. "With my stepfather's encouragement, he wanted the money for the house." Walter opened a folder. "Your Honor, we used that money, all of it, to pay down the remaining balance on Denise's mortgage, the house Nicole's father originally bought with Denise. We didn't buy anything for ourselves. Denise wanted to be free of that mortgage before I retire in a few years. It was her decision, her asset, her house." Before we hear what Nicole's own mother has to say about all this, hit subscribe if you haven't yet, because what she reveals changes the entire shape of this case. Judge Judy turned toward the gallery, where a woman in her early 50s sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap. "Mrs. Grady, you're here today. Would you like to speak?" Denise stood slowly, glancing at her daughter with an expression that was equal parts love and exhaustion. "Your Honor, may I?" "Go ahead." "That car was mine," Denise said, her voice steady. "My name was on the title. I made the decision to sell it, myself, before Walter and I were even engaged. I asked him to help me find a fair buyer because I don't know anything about cars, and he does. I used every dollar of that sale to pay off the mortgage on the house I still live in, the same house Nicole grew up in. I did that so that whatever happens to me, that house is paid for and safe for her and for her brother. No strings attached." Nicole's composure cracked slightly. "You never asked me." "It was my car, sweetheart," Denise said gently. "I didn't need to ask you, but I think this isn't really about the car." The courtroom went quiet. Even Judge Judy paused before continuing. "Miss Ferrante, Judge Judy said something interesting. Is there something else going on here?" Nicole's eyes filled, and for a moment the sharp, litigious tone dropped away entirely. I didn't think anyone should be making decisions about things that were my dad's without me. Not the car, not anything. And ever since Walter moved in, it feels like everything of my dad's is just quietly disappearing. His chair, his tools, now the car. Like my mom is trying to erase him." Denise's eyes filled too. "I'm not erasing him, Nicole. I loved your father for 22 years, but I'm 61 years old, and I get to have a life that isn't only about grief. Walter isn't trying to replace your father. He's never once asked me to remove a single photo of him from that house." Walter spoke quietly. "Nicole, I know I'll never be your dad, and I've never tried to be. I just wanted your mom to have some peace and not worry about a mortgage payment for the rest of her life. Judge Judy set down her pen. Miss Ferrante, I want to say something to you, and I say this as someone who has seen a lot of lawsuits that were never really about money. You didn't file this claim because you needed $4,800. You filed it because you're grieving your father, and this car became the last physical thing you could point to and say, this proves he existed, this proves he mattered. Losing it felt like losing him all over again. That's a real feeling, but it doesn't make Mr. Grady liable for anything. Your mother owned that car outright, and she made a lawful decision with her own property. Nicole wiped her eyes. I know legally it wasn't my car. I think I knew that before I even walked in here. Then why did you file? Because I was angry, and this was the only place I could put it. Judge Judy nodded slowly. That's honest, at least. This case is dismissed. Mr. Grady owes you nothing because he did nothing wrong. But, Miss Ferrante, I'd strongly suggest you and your mother figure out a way to talk about your father that doesn't happen in a courtroom, because whatever this really is, a judgment against her husband was never going to fix it. Denise reached over and touched her daughter's arm, and Nicole, after a moment, let her. I still miss him every day, too, you know. Just because I moved forward doesn't mean I moved away from him. Outside the courtroom, Nicole and her mother sat together for nearly 20 minutes before either of them said a word. A few weeks later, Denise mentioned in a follow-up call that they'd started seeing a family counselor together, something Nicole herself had suggested. Walter still keeps a small photo of Nicole's father on the mantle, right next to their wedding photo, exactly where Denise put it the day they moved in. Court is adjourned. Do you think this case should have been dismissed, or do you think Nicole deserved something for the car regardless of who technically owned it? Let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because next week another case is going to surprise you in a completely different way.